The surface of a pond at dawn looks calm to the human eye, a mirror of sky and tree, perfectly still, perfectly fragile. Yet beneath that serene reflection, invisible forces of cohesion and tension weave a world of invisible scaffolds. It is here, in this delicate membrane between air and water, that one of nature's most improbable engineers performs its daily miracles, the water strider. To watch it move is to watch physics take form, each step a negotiation between gravity and geometry, each ripple a coded message in liquid language. A water strider is little more than a few millimeters long, but in its world, size is no limitation, it is advantage. Its body, light as a paper filament, rides on 6 elongated legs that appear impossibly thin. Yet each one is a marvel of micro-engineering. Under magnification, the dark, velvety surface of those legs reveals forests of microscopic hairs, each tipped with an even smaller groove. These hydrophobic structures trap thin films of air, forming a silvery halo that prevents the leg from ever wetting. Surface tension does the rest, transforming each droplet of water into a kind of invisible trampoline. To the camera's eye, the effect is mesmerizing. The strider's feet dimple the surface, but never break it. Small craters surrounded by circles of reflected sky. With each stride, it pushes backward against these dimples, generating thrust without submersion. This act of propulsion is pure mechanical poetry, a balance between downward force and distributed weight. The middle legs strike first, sweeping backward like oars. The hind legs steer and stabilize. The forelegs, shorter and more robust, stay poised to grasp or to strike. The insect's body barely moves up or down. Instead, it seems to glide, suspended on invisible wires. This balance is not luck. It is the product of evolutionary equations refined over millions of years. If the insect were slightly heavier or its legs slightly shorter, the film would rupture beneath it. The surface tension of water can support only so much, roughly equivalent to a steel needle laid flat across a glass of water. To stay afloat, the water strider's entire anatomy is optimized for lightness. Its exoskeleton is thin but rigid, filled with air pockets. Its gait minimizes vertical acceleration, conserving the fragile boundary between surface and depth. Every step is a calculation of pressure, speed, and timing, a walking equation that must be solved anew with each movement. But this surface is not only a platform, it is a stage of communication. Water striders inhabit ponds and streams in loose colonies where ripples become words and silence the space between them. Each dimple on the water sends out concentric rings, vibrations that travel outward faster than sound through air. A passing wave can carry news of danger or invitation, a coded pulse interpreted through specialized sensory hairs on the insect's legs. Courtship begins not with scent or sight, but with rhythm. A male may tap the surface in a patterned sequence, a liquid Morse code signaling his intentions. A receptive female drifting nearby replies in kind. But if the cadence is too aggressive or unfamiliar, the same vibrations might trigger alarm, a threat display that warns rivals to keep their distance. The ripple code is ancient, a form of language older than song or scent. Some studies suggest that water striders can even distinguish between the vibrations of prey struggling on the surface and those of an approaching predator. The sensitivity of their mechanoreceptors borders on the mathematical, capable of detecting displacements in the nanometer range, subtler than the trembling of a spider web in still air. And when the message signals opportunity, the strider becomes a hunter. On a humid afternoon, a mosquito lands to drink. Its delicate feet break the surface film, anchoring it in place as it bends to feed. The water strider senses the disturbance, the irregular pulse of concentric ripples spreading like sonar. Instantly it pivots. The attack is not a leap, but a glide, a silent approach, powered by those middle legs flicking once, twice, in perfect symmetry. It closes the distance within a heartbeat. The forelegs shoot forward, seizing the victim with hooked claws. There is no splash, no drama, just an abrupt stillness. The strider injects digestive enzymes, liquefying the mosquito's insides before sipping its contents through a needle-like beak. A hunter balanced on the skin of water, feeding without ever getting wet. This act of predation is not without risk. The water's surface is both floor and ceiling, both hunting ground and highway. Fish lurk below, watching for the dark silhouettes of striders skating above. Even a single misstep, a leg piercing the film, an imbalance of weight, can mean death. Yet the water strider's hydrophobic armor provides a second line of defense. If submerged by accident, it can trap a thin layer of air across its body, turning itself into a silvery capsule. This shimmering bubble acts as both flotation device and oxygen reserve, allowing the insect to resurface and resume its glide. Perhaps the most astonishing feat occurs not when the strider moves horizontally, but when it moves vertically, climbing out of the two-dimensional plane of the pond. Watch as it approaches a reed. The surface dips beneath its forelegs, the angle steepens, and yet somehow the film does not tear. The strider leans forward, transferring weight in fractions across its limbs. The meniscus bends but holds. With a careful flick of its middle legs, it vaults upward, gripping the reed's edge and pulling itself onto the stalk. Not a drop of water clings to its feet. This is one of nature's most delicate transitions, a seamless escape from a liquid world to a solid one, accomplished without breaking the mathematical rules that keep it afloat. Beneath all of this lies a deeper principle, one that engineers and biophysicists have sought to imitate. The water strider's mastery of surface tension has inspired designs for robots capable of walking on water. These micro-machines mimic the insect's leg structure, weight distribution, and stroke pattern to achieve balance on the meniscus. Some even reproduce the flicking motion of its gait, proving that biological precision can be reverse-engineered into artificial motion. In essence, the insect that walks on equations has become the blueprint for new forms of physics-based locomotion. Yet for the strider itself, there is no conscious calculation. The formulas are written in its limbs, coded in the geometry of its hairs, embedded in the chemistry of its cuticle. Its world is not one of numbers, but of sensations, pressure, light, ripple, and stillness. It feels the pond through vibration. It sees the world mirrored beneath its feet. The insect's entire existence is a balancing act between buoyancy and gravity, hunger and caution, solitude and communication. When the wind stills and the surface becomes a mirror again, the water strider freezes, its shadow merging with the reflection of the sky. For a brief moment, the pond holds the weight of the world, insect, air, and light, in perfect equilibrium. And then a single ripple spreads outward, rewriting the calm. The equations begin again. In the fading light of evening, when most insects surrender to the cool descent of dusk, a blur of motion cuts through the air like a living machine. Its wings beat too fast for the human eye to follow, the air around it trembling with the soft hum of precision. To an untrained observer, it might be mistaken for a miniature bird, darting from flower to flower with improbable stability. Yet this is no bird. It is the hummingbird hawk-moth, a creature that has solved the physics of flight with the accuracy of an engineer and the grace of an artist. The hummingbird hawk-moth belongs to the family Sphingidae, a lineage of powerful flyers whose strength lies not in brute force but in exquisite aerodynamic control. Each wing stroke follows a figure-8 pattern, an endless loop of lift and propulsion. Unlike most moths or butterflies, which rely on the downward beat of their wings to stay aloft, the hawk moth generates lift on both the upstroke and the downstroke. This allows it to hover in place, to pause mid-air as though suspended on invisible threads of air. The effect is so precise that it can extend its long, coiled proboscis into a flower and drink nectar without touching the petals. Under high-speed cameras, each wing beat reveals a secret world of physics. As the moth swings its wings backward, it carves miniature whirlwinds, vortex rings that cling briefly to the air before spiraling away. These tiny tornadoes create pockets of low pressure that help lift the moth's body, a process known as leading-edge vortex generation. The moth doesn't simply flap its wings, it sculpts the air. Every oscillation is tuned to maintain position, angle, and altitude, even amid turbulent winds. The moth's muscles, tucked deep within its thorax, are capable of astonishing adjustments. Within milliseconds, it can alter the amplitude of its stroke or the frequency of its beats, performing what aeronautical engineers might call instant throttle changes. This is no poetic exaggeration. In laboratory tests, hummingbird hawk-moths have been observed to double their power output in less than 1/10 of a second to counter gusts or reposition mid-hover. Their neuromuscular system, a web of sensors and reflex arcs, detects and corrects flight deviations faster than a human blink. But precision flight comes at a price. Hovering is one of the most energetically expensive forms of locomotion in the animal kingdom. The hummingbird hawk-moth burns through energy reserves at an astonishing rate, rivaling the metabolic intensity of small birds. Every second aloft consumes a measurable fraction of its body's stored sugars. Yet evolution has made this trade-off worthwhile. By mastering hoverflight, the moth accesses nectar hidden within deep tubular flowers that remain out of reach to most bees or butterflies. It drinks from long-throated blooms of honeysuckle, petunia, and jasmine, resources left untouched by less capable competitors. In the ecological marketplace, it has traded efficiency for exclusivity. This delicate balance between energy expenditure and reward has shaped not just the moth's physiology, but also its behavior. Like an efficient courier, the hummingbird hawk-moth memorizes the locations of its most profitable nectar sources and returns to them with uncanny precision. Scientists call this behavior trapline foraging, a mental map of feeding stops followed in a near-perfect loop each evening. This circuit can cover dozens of meters, looping through familiar flowers as predictably as a postman's route. The moth even accounts for nectar regeneration time, timing its returns to coincide with each bloom's refilling cycle. To achieve this, its brain must integrate spatial memory, circadian rhythm, and sensory feedback, a feat of navigation that rivals that of honeybees, but carried out under low light and at speeds that make observation a challenge. At dusk, when the air cools and the flowers of night open their pale, reflective petals, the hawk-moth emerges from its daytime refuge. Its large compound eyes, adapted to twilight, are exquisitely sensitive to dim light. Each ommatidium, one of the thousands of tiny lenses composing the eye, gathers photons with exceptional efficiency, allowing the moth to see motion and color in conditions that would leave most insects blind. This visual clarity is crucial, for hovering in front of a moving target under low light requires near-perfect feedback. The moth must interpret every flicker of contrast, every shimmer of petal edge, and adjust its position accordingly. The scene unfolds like a slow symphony of physics and biology. The moth approaches a flower suspended in the twilight air. Its wings create a shimmering blur, the hum deepening as it steadies itself before the bloom. The long proboscis uncoils, a flexible siphon several times the length of its body. It probes delicately, guided by scent and tactile cues until it finds the nectar chamber. The moth drinks in mid-air, its head barely moving as its wings continue their figure-8 rhythm. Tiny droplets of nectar glisten at the tip of the proboscis before vanishing into its throat. The entire act lasts only seconds before it pulls back, arcs upward, and accelerates toward the next flower on its route. Each feeding station represents a calculated gamble. The distance between blooms must be worth the fuel spent to reach them. If a region becomes over-harvested or the flowers close too early, the moth adjusts its circuit, exploring new feeding zones with exploratory flights. In this sense, the hawk-moth's trapline is dynamic, a living algorithm that recalibrates with every change in the environment. Through this adaptability, it maintains a delicate equilibrium between energy input and output, surviving on razor-thin margins in an ecosystem that punishes inefficiency. In the cool of the night, the moth's thermoregulation becomes another quiet battle. To sustain such rapid wing movement, its flight muscles must remain warm, often exceeding ambient air temperature by several degrees. Before takeoff, the moth performs a subtle pre-flight ritual, vibrating its wings in place to generate heat through friction, much like revving an engine before liftoff. This warming-up phase is crucial. Without it, the viscosity of its muscle fibers would limit their speed and power. Once airborne, the constant motion maintains internal temperature, but the moth risks overheating during long feeding sessions. To counter this, it regulates blood flow through fine control of its hemolymph, the insect equivalent of blood, channeling heat away from the thorax into the abdomen, where it can dissipate more effectively. As the night deepens, the flowers begin to close. The moth's circuits grow shorter, its flight lines more erratic as it seeks the last open blooms. The hum of its wings fades intermittently into the chorus of crickets and frogs, the air filled with the faint scent of nectar and moisture. Under the dim light of the moon, the hawk-moth's movements take on an almost mechanical beauty, a living drone operating on biological algorithms, powered by sugar and instinct. Yet beneath that precision lies something profoundly ancient. Long before the first aircraft studied vortex dynamics or lift coefficients, this moth and its kin had already solved the riddle of stable hovering. Its wing patterns are the product of countless generations of refinement, evolutionary design through trial and survival. And its role in the ecosystem is no less vital than its elegance suggests. By pollinating night-blooming plants, it sustains species that depend entirely on these twilight visitors. Some flowers have evolved corollas precisely matched to the length of its proboscis, locking the two in an evolutionary partnership that stretches back through deep time. When dawn approaches and the temperature begins to drop, the hummingbird hawk moth retreats into shelter, behind bark, under eaves, or within stone cracks, still holding traces of the day's warmth. Its flight muscles cool, its metabolism slows, and the silence of rest replaces the hum of motion. By sunrise, the flowers it pollinated will stand ready to greet diurnal visitors, bees, butterflies, and birds, each continuing the work of life in their own way. But for a few brief hours each evening, the sky belongs to this hovering marvel, the perfect fusion of biology and aerodynamics. Nature rarely builds perfection, but the hummingbird hawk moth comes close. It is a reminder that physics, when sculpted by evolution, can become art, and that in the dim stillness of dusk, even the air itself can be shaped by living precision. The surface of a summer pond shimmers with heat. Every reed, every ripple carries the hum of life. Mosquitoes hovering just above the waterline, midges swarming in dancing columns of light, the faint glint of damselflies suspended like blue threads in the air. Then a flash of red cuts through the brightness, abrupt, controlled, and impossibly precise. A scarlet dragonfly, one of nature's oldest and most efficient aerial predators, has entered the scene. It moves with such authority that even the air seems to obey. To follow its path is to witness a fusion of instinct and aeronautics so refined that it borders on calculation. The scarlet dragonfly's four wings glint in the sunlight like panes of living glass. Each is connected to the thorax by a separate set of muscles, allowing independent motion. This independence gives the dragonfly an agility unmatched among insects, or indeed among most flying creatures. Birds and bats rely on paired wings that must move in synchrony to generate lift and control, but the dragonfly's wings act as four separate control surfaces. It can roll, yaw, or pitch in fractions of a second, hovering in still air one moment and darting laterally the next. When the front and rear wings on one side beat out of phase, they create counter-rotating vortices that stabilize the insect mid-turn, much like the opposing blades of a helicopter. Each flight maneuver is more than instinct, it is execution of geometry. To capture prey in mid-air, the dragonfly must predict not where the insect is, but where it will be. This demands not reflex but computation, a kind of biological algorithm coded into its nervous system. As the target moves, the dragonfly tracks both its velocity and trajectory. Its brain calculates an interception point, adjusting its flight vector to meet the prey in motion rather than chase it from behind. This mathematical interception strategy, known in aeronautical terms as constant bearing pursuit, mirrors techniques used in modern missile guidance systems. The dragonfly perfected it hundreds of millions of years before humans could even conceive of flight. The secret lies within its extraordinary visual system. The scarlet dragonfly's compound eyes are hemispheres of multifaceted brilliance, each composed of nearly 30,000 tiny lenses. Together, they cover almost the entire surface of its head, offering a field of vision that approaches 360 degrees. This panoramic view allows it to track multiple moving objects at once, distinguishing prey from background with remarkable precision. Within these eyes, Specialized neurons detect motion direction and speed, while others process parallax, the shifting of visual angles that provides depth perception. Some neurons even perform predictive modeling, firing in anticipation of where the target will move next. To describe this as vision hardly does it justice. It is more akin to a real-time, three-dimensional simulation rendered directly within the insect's brain. From a still perch, the dragonfly watches the airspace before it like a sentry. Its territory, often a patch of sunlit water ringed by reeds, is both hunting ground and stage of courtship. Males maintain these territories with relentless precision, patrolling in looping circuits and driving away intruders with aggressive displays. The scarlet coloration of the wings and abdomen serves both as warning and signal, a flash of dominance visible even in the glare of noon. When a rival approaches, the owner takes flight in an immediate, spiraling pursuit, the two insects clashing in bursts of speed that would rival jet fighters in relative acceleration. For brief seconds, they twist through the air in mirrored arcs, each predicting the other's moves through reflexive control. The loser, often a younger or less vibrant male, retreats toward the shadows. The victor resumes his patrol, body tilted toward the sun to recharge. Sunlight is not merely warmth for the dragonfly, it is power. As an ectotherm, its body temperature depends on external heat. Before flight, it must prime its flight muscles to reach operational efficiency. This pre-flight ritual often unfolds in stillness. The dragonfly perches on a reed, wings half spread, body angled toward the rising sun. Its abdomen, vividly scarlet, acts as a thermal conductor, absorbing radiant energy. Internal hemolymph, the insect equivalent of blood, circulates this heat to the thoracic muscles. Only when those muscles reach the necessary temperature can the dragonfly sustain high-frequency wing beats. If the morning air is too cool, its flight remains sluggish and unstable. Once warmed, however, the insect transforms. Every muscle fiber fires in synchrony, generating the immense power required for both hovering and rapid acceleration. As the day advances, the pond becomes an aerial arena. Mosquitoes rise in trembling clouds, unaware that they are under constant surveillance. When the dragonfly launches, it does so in silence, a flick of the wings, a contraction of thoracic muscles, and it vanishes into motion. Within a fraction of a second, it aligns its trajectory to the vector of its chosen target. The air around its wings rolls into twin spirals, each vortex shaped to generate lift with minimal drag. The prey, a midge or small fly, barely registers the threat before it disappears. The capture itself is a feat of coordination. The dragonfly extends its legs forward like a net, the spines interlocking to form a temporary cage. The insect never bites in flight. Instead, it snatches and holds, then returns to a perch to consume the catch, neatly devouring its prey from head to thorax. Studies show that dragonflies succeed in their aerial hunts with an efficiency of nearly 95%, a statistic that few predators on Earth can match. The dynamics of its flight reveal principles that echo through modern engineering. When the front wings and hind wings beat in phase, the dragonfly maximizes thrust, useful for high-speed chases. When they beat out of phase, the airflow between them interacts constructively, stabilizing hover or braking motion. This modularity allows the insect to maneuver in ways that defy intuitive physics, even flying backward, tilting upward to arrest descent, or rotating mid-air to face a new direction without shifting position. In experimental wind tunnels, high-speed cameras reveal that dragonflies adjust wing angles by minute degrees, altering lift coefficients with exquisite precision. Every movement is feedback controlled by sensory input from the mechanoreceptors embedded in the wing joints, which detect strain and turbulence in real time. Yet the scarlet dragonfly's mastery of flight is not just a triumph of design. It is also a survival strategy deeply rooted in evolutionary time. Dragonflies are among the oldest lineages of aerial hunters, tracing their ancestry to ancient giants that patrolled prehistoric swamps with wingspans longer than human arm. Those ancient species dominated the skies of the Carboniferous period, when oxygen levels were higher and arthropods grew to monstrous proportions. Though smaller today, the modern dragonfly carries the same predatory blueprint, a reminder of an era when insects ruled the air. Evolution has refined the form but not replaced it. The combination of agility, precision, and sensory acuity remains as effective now as it was hundreds of millions of years ago. During the heat of midday, the scarlet dragonfly alternates between bursts of hunting and intervals of rest. It often perches on a prominent stem overlooking its territory, its wings held horizontally, shimmering with the illusion of stillness. The air vibrates faintly with residual heat from earlier flights. Beneath the surface, tadpoles stir, and water beetles navigate through floating vegetation. The dragonfly's reflection quivers on the pond's skin, twin flashes of red mirrored in the liquid blue. Occasionally, a female enters the territory, her arrival prompting a shift in behavior. The male's patrol becomes tighter, more deliberate. He hovers near the water, performing a series of controlled ascents and dives, not aggressive now but ritualized. Courtship in dragonflies is conducted mid-air, the male clasping the female behind the head with specialized appendages. The pair forms the characteristic wheel position, a biological coupling as aerially acrobatic as any hunt. Once fertilization is complete, the female dips her abdomen into the water's edge to deposit eggs, continuing a lineage that has persisted since before the rise of the dinosaurs. By late afternoon, the air begins to cool. The dragonfly's flight slows as muscle temperature drops. It retreats once more to a sunlit perch, adjusting its body to catch the last rays of the day. In this moment of stillness, the predator becomes part of the landscape, motionless, yet alive with stored potential. The wings, still iridescent with faint reds and golds, tremble slightly in the breeze. Around it, the cycle continues. Insects rise and fall, ripples expand and fade, life repeating itself with mechanical precision. The scarlet dragonfly represents a paradox of nature, an organism that marries instinct with physics, simplicity with complexity. Its aerial choreography is not thought, but pure optimization, honed through evolutionary trial. When it flies, it does not flap randomly, but writes invisible equations across the air. It is a pilot of interception, a mathematician of motion, a predator whose flight maps could double as the sketches of an engineer. In the stillness of dusk, as the sun turns the pond to fire, the red silhouette darts once more across the water, closing its patrol with one final perfect maneuver. A movement measured not in instinct alone, but in the mathematics of survival. In the steamy heart of a tropical forest, the ground itself seems to move. Sunlight filters through a green cathedral of leaves, scattering across trails etched into the soil like rivers of purpose. Along these trails, endless columns of leafcutter ants march in disciplined procession, each carrying a fragment of green larger than its own body. From a distance, it looks as if the forest floor has come alive, flowing with countless moving leaves. But beneath the surface of this motion lies one of the most complex societies on Earth, a civilization of insects that farms, builds, defends, and even manufactures its own antibiotics. Every individual in this vast empire is born to serve a single function. Within a colony that may contain several million members, division of labor is absolute. The largest workers, known as majors, patrol the highways, their massive jaws ready to sever any intruder. The mediums, the tireless foragers, carve circular bites from living leaves and transport them in endless caravans back to the nest. The smallest, the minims, tend to the precious cargo and ride atop the leaf fragments to guard against airborne parasites. Each caste is anatomically specialized, their bodies sculpted by evolution into living tools designed for cooperation. The trail itself is a feat of chemical engineering. What appears as an orderly line of ants is, in reality, a pheromone highway. Every forager lays down a molecular trail of odor cues from glands near the tip of its abdomen. These invisible pathways are constantly updated and reinforced, ensuring that traffic flows efficiently between the food source and the nest. When obstacles appear, a fallen twig, a flooded patch of soil, the ants adapt instantly, deploying living problem-solving strategies. They do not wait for orders, they become the bridge. In one of nature's most astonishing displays of cooperation, leafcutter ants link their bodies together to span gaps too wide to cross alone. Hanging by claws and mandibles, they form living chains that stretch across spaces, allowing others to walk over their bodies like a living scaffold. The structure is flexible, self-adjusting, and dynamically maintained. If one ant shifts position, others immediately compensate to redistribute weight. These temporary bridges can persist for hours, expanding and contracting as the column flows over them. To witness this is to glimpse intelligence that emerges not from a single mind, but from the collective behavior of many. The destination of this green parade lies underground. Beneath the mound of the colony is a subterranean metropolis extending several meters deep, a labyrinth of chambers and tunnels precisely ventilated to regulate temperature and humidity. Here, in the darkness, the ants' true treasure grows, vast fungal gardens cultivated from the leaf fragments brought from above. The leaves themselves are not eaten by the ants. Instead, they are mulched and inoculated with fungal spores, forming a nutrient-rich substrate. The fungus, Leucoagaricus gongylophorus, breaks down plant material into edible structures called gongylidea, tiny nutrient nodules that feed the colony. Each worker's task is critical to maintaining this agricultural balance. Garden-tending ants meticulously clean and prune the fungal beds, removing debris and infected material. They carry waste to separate refuse chambers far from the core to prevent contamination. The health of the fungus determines the health of the colony. If the crop fails, the entire society collapses. In a sense, these ants are farmers as much as they are builders, managing the soil's microbial economy with a precision that rivals human agriculture. But where there are crops, there are also parasites. One of the most insidious enemies of the leafcutter's fungal gardens is Escovopsis, a mold that can overrun the fungal beds and destroy them from within. The ants have evolved a remarkable defense, one that blurs the boundary between biology and biotechnology. Many workers, especially the garden tenders, possess distinctive pale patches on their exoskeletons, often near the shoulders and thorax. These white shoulder pads are not a structural feature, but colonies of symbiotic bacteria belonging to the genus Actinobacteria. These bacteria produce powerful antibiotic compounds that inhibit the growth of parasitic molds. The ants actively cultivate and maintain them, grooming the patches to keep the bacterial populations healthy. In return, the bacteria protect the fungal crop from disease. It is an ancient partnership, a natural alliance that predates human discovery of penicillin by tens of millions of years. This symbiosis between insect, fungus, and microbe represents a three-way network of mutual dependence, an ecosystem condensed into a single superorganism. The defense extends beyond chemistry. As the foragers travel between the nest and their harvest sites, they encounter dangers from above, parasitoid flies that specialize in attacking large worker ants. These flies hover over the columns, targeting individuals burdened with leaf fragments. The ants have evolved a countermeasure as elegant as it is strategic. Tiny minims, no larger than a grain of rice, ride atop the leaf shards carried by their larger sisters. From this elevated position, they act as bodyguards, snapping at or batting away attacking flies before they can strike. It is a living security detail, riding shotgun on every delivery. The coordination required for such an operation defies easy explanation. There is no central command, no single queen issuing orders. The queen's sole function is reproduction. She remains deep within the nest, surrounded by attendants, laying thousands of eggs per day. Yet above her, the colony functions with clockwork precision. Communication flows through pheromones, vibrations, and tactile contact. When a new food source is discovered, scout ants return to the colony, recruiting others through specialized chemical signals. The strength of these signals determines the size of the foraging force, ensuring that resources are allocated proportionally. This decentralized intelligence, known as stigmergy, allows the colony to adapt to changing conditions with remarkable speed. Even their architecture reflects this collective awareness. The subterranean tunnels are designed to manage microclimates within the colony. Warm air from decomposing leaf matter rises through central shafts, drawing in cooler air from peripheral openings. This natural ventilation system keeps the fungus chambers at optimal humidity, preventing both desiccation and overheating. Workers constantly adjust soil pellets and airflow openings to maintain stability, functioning as both engineers and caretakers of their environment. The efficiency of their farming system has drawn the attention of scientists seeking to understand sustainable agriculture. Each fragment of leaf brought into the nest is processed with minimal waste. The ants discard only the lignin-rich veins, using softer tissue for fungal growth. The waste generated from old fungal beds is recycled into soil or used to reinforce structural walls. Every stage of the process is energy efficient, powered entirely by the cooperative labor of the colony. When viewed from above, the leafcutter ants transform the forest floor into a vast, living infrastructure. Trails converge at intersections marked by pheromone density, merging and splitting like highways at rush hour. The entire operation is maintained without error, without hierarchy, through feedback loops encoded in chemical signals. Each ant knows only its immediate task, yet the sum of their actions gives rise to a level of organization that mirrors human logistics systems. By nightfall, the foraging columns begin to thin. The remaining workers return to the nest, the last leaf fragments carried like green sails into the dark. Inside, the minims resume their duties, trimming the leaves into pulp and inoculating them with fresh fungal spores. The cycle of cultivation continues uninterrupted, sustained by instinct and interdependence. Deep in the fungus chambers, the queen's brood grows, feeding on the fruits of this agricultural machine. The leafcutter ant colony is not merely a collection of individuals, it is a single, breathing entity composed of millions of moving parts. Each ant is a neuron in a vast, decentralized brain, reacting, adjusting, and optimizing in real time. Together they build living bridges, maintain underground farms, and wear microbial armor, performing acts of complexity that challenge our notions of intelligence and design. To watch them work is to see civilization in miniature, a glimpse into evolution's capacity to create systems of order from chaos. In the quiet hum of their endless labor, beneath the canopy and within the earth, the leafcutter ants carry out a choreography that has continued for over 50 million years. Their cities may be hidden, but their influence runs through the forest like an unseen pulse, proof that even the smallest architects can command empires, provided they move as one. In the heavy warmth of a tropical morning, when the forest air hangs thick with moisture and light filters through the canopy in sheets of gold, a structure glistens between the branches, a circle of silk suspended in air, geometric and alive. It is the web of the golden silk orb-weaver, an architectural marvel that combines precision engineering with biochemical artistry. Sunlight strikes it at the right angle, and the whole structure shimmers with an amber radiance. For diurnal insects, it is a trap disguised as light itself. The golden silk orb-weaver, belonging to the genus Trichonephila, is one of nature's master builders. Her web stretches across the forest understory, often spanning over a meter in diameter, anchored by drag lines thicker than a strand of hair but stronger, weight for weight, than steel. This silk is spun from specialized glands, each producing a material with distinct mechanical properties. The frame and radii, the supporting spokes of the web, are composed of dragline silk, a dry, rigid thread that provides tensile strength. The capture spiral, however, is a different creation altogether. It is coated in a sticky, glycoprotein-rich substance that gives it a honey-like sheen. This is the spider's trapline, a latticework of adhesive geometry fine-tuned for both strength and flexibility. To watch her build is to witness a mindless precision refined by millions of years of evolution. She begins by throwing out a single thread into the wind, a silk line that drifts until it catches on a branch. She reinforces it, forming a bridge line, then descends on a new strand to establish the central axis. From this anchor point, she constructs the radii outward like the spokes of a wheel, each one measured by instinctive proportion. Finally, she lays the capture spiral, an inward coil that glistens with microscopic droplets. Every junction, every interval follows a pattern dictated not by chance but by the physics of flight interception. The golden silk itself possesses qualities that scientists still struggle to replicate. Its distinctive hue, varying from pale amber to deep gold, is not merely decorative. The tint helps mask the web among leaves when viewed from certain angles, while simultaneously reflecting wavelengths of light that attract day-flying insects. Butterflies and bees, drawn to the yellow spectra of flowers, are deceived into approaching the web. This dual camouflage and lure transforms the structure into both predator and flower, a living paradox suspended in mid-air. Humidity plays a crucial role in the web's behavior. The capture spiral is not simply sticky, it is viscoelastic, a substance that behaves both like a solid and a liquid. Under dry conditions, it stiffens, offering resistance to impact. When humidity rises, it softens, stretching to absorb kinetic energy from colliding prey. The web self-adjusts to environmental fluctuations, maintaining its adhesive performance through a process known as humidity-tuned viscoelasticity. This adaptability ensures that the orb-weaver's trap functions across varying weather conditions, a biological engineering feat that outperforms most synthetic materials. Every strand of the web is connected to the central hub, a nexus where the spider rests, head down, her 8 legs delicately poised upon the radii. Each leg tip bears specialized sensory hairs capable of detecting minute vibrations. Through these mechanical signals, she perceives her world. When a moth brushes the outer spiral, the web sings a coded vibration, a specific frequency and amplitude that travels down the silk. The spider interprets this signal as prey, distinguishing it from the background hum of leaves or the erratic flutter of debris. Some vibrations carry the rapid pulse of a struggling insect, others the faint tremor of wind. Her ability to decode this information is nothing short of extraordinary, a form of tactile intelligence transmitted through tension and tone. The moment of capture unfolds with astonishing speed. A dragonfly, mistaking the golden threads for shafts of sunlight, strikes the web. The impact reverberates through the radii, and the spider moves instantly, not toward the source but along a calculated trajectory that minimizes risk of tearing her structure. She halts at the perimeter, assessing. The vibration frequency confirms the prey's size and struggle. Then begins the rush-rap-jab choreography, a sequence of predatory precision. She rushes forward, emitting more silk as she goes, using her hind legs to fling loops of sticky thread around the prey. Once immobilized, she delivers a bite, injecting venom that paralyzes but preserves the body. Finally, she secures the prize in silk and retreats to the hub, where she will feed at leisure. Each hunt is a delicate balance between risk and reward. Large prey can damage the web or entangle the spider herself. To mitigate this, she relies on mechanical feedback. If the vibrations exceed a certain threshold, she pauses, allowing the prey's struggles to diminish before approaching. This restraint is instinctual, an evolved algorithm that optimizes energy efficiency and safety. The web, meanwhile, acts as both trap and amplifier, transmitting real-time data on prey condition through the shifting harmonics of silk tension. Beyond hunting, the web serves as a stage for one of the most perilous courtship rituals in the insect world. The female golden silk orb-weaver is many times the size of the male, sometimes by a factor of 10. Her immense size and predatory reflexes make approaching her a matter of life or death. Yet, driven by instinct, the male ventures onto her web, his tiny form barely disturbing the strands. Each step sends faint vibrations through the structure, a communication code of submission and identity. If he moves too suddenly or too strongly, she may interpret the signal as that of prey and attack. Courtship, in this context, becomes a negotiation through vibration. The male employs a repertoire of specialized pulses, rhythmic plucks that differ from prey signals, to announce his presence. Some species even cut select radii to dampen the web's tension, reducing the risk of triggering an aggressive response. Slowly, cautiously, he advances toward the hub, where the female waits motionless. If accepted, mating occurs briefly, often while she continues to feed or repair the web. The danger never disappears entirely. Cannibalism remains a frequent outcome. Yet for those few that succeed, the reward ensures the continuation of their genetic line. Throughout the day, the web accumulates debris, caught leaves, dust, and the husks of past meals. The spider meticulously maintains her construction, cutting away damaged sections and replacing them with new silk. Each rebuild is not a simple repair, but a subtle recalibration. The tension of the radii, the spacing of the spiral, the angle of anchoring lines, all are adjusted according to recent conditions and prey size distribution. This adaptive architecture makes the web a dynamic instrument rather than a static trap. The interplay of physics and biology in this silk structure extends beyond the spider's own survival. The web affects its microhabitat, catching pollen and detritus that contribute to nutrient cycling. Other organisms, such as kleptoparasitic flies and tiny commensal spiders, share this golden network, feeding on leftovers or scavenging from the periphery. Each species occupies its own niche, integrated into the ecosystem that radiates outward from the orb-weaver's silk. Even the golden color of the web may play roles still not fully understood. Some researchers suggest that it filters ultraviolet light, protecting the spider from harmful radiation. Others propose that the pigment aids in thermoregulation, reflecting excess heat while allowing sufficient warmth for metabolism. Whatever its origin, the golden silk remains an evolutionary signature, a trait both functional and aesthetic, born from the interaction of ecology and adaptation. When rain arrives, the web transforms again. Droplets cling to the threads, forming perfect spheres that magnify the forest beyond. Yet the silk itself resists collapse. Its hydrophobic surface prevents the web from waterlogging. Droplets roll along its length and fall away, leaving the structure intact. This hydrodynamic efficiency, the ability to repel and shed moisture, ensures that the spider's trap remains operational even in tropical downpours. As the day fades, the orb-weaver retreats to the center of her domain. The golden web, now dimmed by twilight, glows faintly in the fading light. Moths begin to stir, drawn unknowingly toward the same spectral frequencies that once lured butterflies. The spider waits, poised in perfect stillness, her legs tracing the faint tremors of the night air. She is a creature of tension and patience, her world measured not in time but in vibration. The golden silk orb-weaver embodies a fusion of material science and evolutionary artistry. Her web is both weapon and sensor array, both architecture and instrument, a structure that captures not only prey, but the very physics of flight and touch. Within its threads lies a language of vibration and light, a system of communication and survival woven across the air. When morning comes again and the sun ignites the forest canopy, her honey-wire masterpiece will gleam anew, a golden equation stretched between branches, solving, as it always has, the problem of life suspended on silk. The morning sun spills over a cracked stone wall, warming its surface one grain at a time. At first, the landscape seems still. Only the faint shimmer of heat rising from the stone betrays movement. But on this miniature stage, a hunter is already active. Barely the size of a fingernail, it moves with the poise and alertness of a feline predator. This is a jumping spider, a creature whose world operates at a scale so small and precise that every leap is a calculation, every movement a solved equation of muscle, pressure, and geometry. Jumping spiders, belonging to the family Salticidae, are unlike almost any other arachnid. They do not spin webs to ensnare prey. Instead, they rely on ballistic precision, leaping toward targets with the accuracy of guided projectiles. The secret to their power lies not in muscle strength, but in hydraulics. Inside each leg, pressure from hemolymph, the spider's blood-equivalent fluid, can be rapidly increased to extend the limb beyond what muscle contraction alone could achieve. When the spider decides to jump, valves near the cephalothorax close, forcing hemolymph into the legs. The sudden influx of pressure straightens them with explosive force, launching the spider into the air. This hydraulic propulsion gives the impression of coiled springs, yet no such springs exist. It is liquid mechanics in motion, a biological piston system fine-tuned through evolution. But before it ever leaps, the spider sees. And to understand how it hunts, one must first understand how it perceives the world. The jumping spider's face is a masterpiece of sensory design, a constellation of 8 eyes, each with a specific purpose. The 2 largest, known as the principal eyes, dominate the front of the head, giving the spider its endearing, almost mammalian appearance. Behind them, 3 pairs of smaller secondary eyes sweep the periphery, forming a panoramic field of view that approaches 360 degrees. These secondary eyes detect motion, alerting the spider to anything that shifts within its visual perimeter. Once motion is detected, the principal eyes turn toward the target, locking in for analysis. What happens next is an optical process so complex that even modern robotics still struggles to replicate it. The principal eyes contain a long tube-like retina that moves within the eye socket itself, a feature unique among spiders. This mobility allows the spider to perform minute scanning movements called microsaccades that sweep across the field of vision like the focus of a high-resolution camera. Each microsaccade refines the image, sharpening details and building a layered understanding of depth. Using this method, the spider judges distance with astonishing accuracy, gauging the exact arc needed to reach its prey. It does not guess, it computes. When a target, say a small fly, lands on the stone a few centimeters away, the spider freezes. Its body aligns with the target, forelegs slightly lifted, eyes fixed. Behind those eyes, neural circuits begin integrating data: distance, size, velocity, and trajectory. The spider is not merely watching, it is running a simulation. Before the jump, it tethers itself to the stone with a single strand of silk, a safety line that functions as both anchor and insurance policy. Should it miscalculate, this silk lifeline prevents the spider from tumbling into the void. Then, without hesitation, it leaps. The acceleration is instantaneous. In less than the blink of a human eye, the spider covers many times its body length. Mid-flight, it adjusts its legs and body posture to fine-tune its trajectory, an airborne correction guided by stored visual data. The landing is silent, exact, and decisive. The prey, often paralyzed by shock, has no chance to escape. The spider strikes with its fangs, injecting venom that works both as toxin and digestive catalyst. Within moments, it begins feeding, liquefying its meal into a form it can absorb. The precision of this behavior suggests planning, and in a way that is true. Jumping spiders exhibit cognitive abilities unusual for arthropods. Experiments have shown that some species can plot detour routes, approaching prey from the opposite direction, even when the target is out of sight. This capacity implies spatial memory and internal mapping, a kind of problem-solving once thought exclusive to vertebrates. What appears as instinct is, in reality, computation. Each leap is not a reflex, but an outcome of observation, analysis, and prediction. Their silk, though not used for webs, remains vital. Every jump begins with an anchor thread, and often ends with a silk dragline that absorbs landing force. The material's elasticity and strength act as a biomechanical harness, redistributing momentum and preventing injury. In this sense, silk serves as both safety net and navigational tool. Spiders may even use these threads to sense subtle vibrations, an echo of their web-building cousins, who read the world through tension. The environment shapes the spider's hunting strategies. On sunlit stones, contrast and heat help define prey outlines. In forest undergrowth, filtered light complicates perception. Some species rely on polarized light detection, an adaptation that allows them to orient even when the sun is obscured. Others adjust their hunting posture to exploit shadows, striking from low angles where prey silhouettes are most visible. Their movement is almost mechanical. Bursts of stillness followed by sudden sprints, punctuated by brief pauses that allow recalibration. The spider's rhythm of motion resembles the scanning sweep of a camera gimbal, alternating between stability and burst. But the jumping spider's story is not all about predation. In some of the most delicate displays in the insect world, the same precision and sensory sophistication are redirected toward courtship. During mating season, males transform from hunters into performers. Each species possesses its own visual language, a choreography of motion and color designed to capture the female's attention. The male approaches cautiously, pausing at the edge of her field of vision, then begins the flirt beat, rhythmic foot taps, jerks, and synchronized leg waves. Many jumping spiders, especially those in the genus Maritus, often called peacock spiders, display vivid colors on their abdomens and legs. Iridescent scales refract light into brilliant hues of blue, red, and green, visible even under diffuse sunlight. The male raises his body and fans out these colorful panels like a miniature flag, performing an elaborate dance of pulses and vibrations. Each movement is calculated, not random but timed to specific visual signals. He may even drum the substrate with his legs, sending vibrational messages through the ground that the female senses through specialized organs near her feet. The female watches closely, her principal eyes locked on the display. For the male, every gesture is a balance between seduction and survival. One wrong move, one vibration mistaken for the rhythm of prey, can end with his swift demise. If she approves, she allows him to approach and mate. If not, she lunges, and the suitor becomes a meal. This courtship risk underscores the evolutionary cost of beauty, an arms race between attraction and caution, performance and precision. Beyond the spectacle, the colors themselves have evolved for more than display. Some pigments act as thermal regulators, reflecting excess heat during midday hunts. Others may enhance camouflage against predators with color vision, such as birds or larger arthropods. The fine hairs covering the spider's body also serve multiple purposes. They sense air currents, vibrations, and even chemical cues, forming a sensory matrix that allows the spider to perceive danger long before it arrives. In the broader ecosystem, jumping spiders occupy a unique niche. Their predation helps regulate populations of small insects and flies, balancing the microecology of their habitats. They thrive from tropical forests to urban gardens, adapting seamlessly to human environments, where brick walls replace bark and windowsills mimic sunlit stones. Their ability to learn, remember, and strategize gives them an edge in nearly every setting. Each individual is a self-contained machine of perception and propulsion, a living ballistic computer optimized for precision in both movement and thought. By late afternoon, the light on the stone wall fades to amber. The spider, now sated, retreats into a shaded crevice, tethering itself with silk for rest. Its body relaxes, but within its minute brain, the patterns of sight and motion remain encoded, a library of spatial memories and distances measured through leaps. Tomorrow, when the sun warms the stone again, it will emerge to begin the process anew, seeing, calculating, and launching itself across the microcosm with unerring accuracy. In a world measured in millimeters, the jumping spider reigns as both mathematician and athlete. Every movement it makes is governed by invisible physics, the interplay of fluid pressure, light refraction, and muscular timing. It does not rely on webs nor on luck, but on the precise choreography of observation and action. To watch it move is to glimpse the frontier between instinct and intelligence, a tiny hunter that turns the laws of motion into art. In the late afternoon stillness of a summer garden, the air trembles with the hum of cicadas. Dust motes drift through shafts of warm light, and somewhere among the tall stalks of grass, something moves. Not with the restless flutter of a fly, nor the purposeful scurry of an ant, but with a patience so absolute it seems almost like stillness. A leaf tilts slightly, a stem sways though there is no wind. And then, from the green geometry of the foliage, two serrated limbs unfold like the blades of a weapon being drawn. The hunter has been there all along. The praying mantis waits, motionless but alive with potential energy, a predator coiled inside its own calm. The mantis is built for ambush, its body an exercise in vertical camouflage. Unlike most insects that cling to surfaces, the mantis lives suspended between them, its long thorax and folded legs echoing the shapes of stems and leaves. It rocks gently back and forth, a hypnotic motion that mimics the movement of vegetation in the wind. This rhythmic sway is not a quirk of personality, but a calculated disguise, masking micro-adjustments of body and vision. Through this subtle dance, the mantis measures depth, recalibrating the range between itself and its next meal. For all its stillness, this insect is a machine of precision. The front legs, known as raptorial forelegs, are the defining instruments of its predatory art. Each limb is lined with sharp saw-like spines and ends in a curved claw-like hook. These limbs are folded against the body in a gesture that earned the species its name, resembling the posture of prayer. Yet beneath that saintly stillness lies the fastest strike in the insect world. When prey enters range, elastic energy stored in the tendons of the forelegs releases in an explosive motion lasting little more than 50 to 70 milliseconds, faster than the human eye can follow. To the mantis, hunting is not pursuit, it is execution. The mechanism behind this speed lies in biological engineering, worthy of high-speed robotics. Muscles alone could never generate the acceleration required to trap a flying insect. Instead, the mantis uses a process known as elastic preload. Before striking, it contracts the flexor muscles that control the raptorial legs, locking them into position with a spring-like latch. When the prey is aligned, the latch releases, unleashing stored kinetic energy in a single devastating motion. The spined forelegs snap forward, impaling and pinning the victim before it can react. For the prey, a fly, a bee, sometimes even a small lizard, the encounter ends before it has truly begun. But precision requires more than speed. It demands vision. Among insects, the mantis possesses one of the most sophisticated visual systems ever evolved. Two large compound eyes dominate its triangular head, each capable of stereoscopic vision, a rarity in the invertebrate world. By comparing the slight differences in image position between both eyes, the mantis calculates depth with uncanny accuracy. This three-dimensional perception allows it to judge the exact distance to its prey, ensuring that every strike lands with surgical precision. Beneath the compound eyes lie three smaller, simple eyes called ocelli, which detect changes in light intensity and help stabilize the mantis during movement. The combination grants it both focus and orientation, a predatory advantage balanced between micro and macro perception. Its ability to track motion borders on predictive intelligence. When an insect passes by, the mantis doesn't react reflexively. It anticipates trajectory. Subtle head movements refine its aim. The head itself can rotate nearly 180 degrees, an anatomical rarity among insects. This mobility gives the mantis a panoramic field of view, allowing it to monitor multiple potential targets while maintaining cover. To watch a mantis track a moving object is to witness an insect behaving almost like a vertebrate predator, thoughtful, deliberate, and calculating. In natural environments, the mantis camouflage is its greatest weapon. Depending on the species, its body may resemble a green reed, a mottled brown twig, or even a dried flower petal. Some tropical varieties have evolved wings patterned with spots that resemble the eyes of larger animals, a defense against birds and reptiles that might otherwise prey upon them. When disturbed, these mantises perform threat displays, spreading their forelegs and wings wide to reveal these markings in a flash of color and motion. The sudden transformation from invisible stalker to apparent monster is often enough to deter would-be predators. But many mantises thrive not in jungles or savannas, but in the very edges of human light. When night falls, porch lamps and streetlights become arenas of opportunity. Moths, beetles and midges gather in swirling constellations around the glow, drawn by the artificial moon. The mantis, perched nearby on a wall or lamppost, waits in the shadows. Here, backlighting becomes its ally. Insects silhouetted against the glow are easier to gauge, their shapes distinct, their distances easier to compute. Each approach is calculated in silence. A flick of motion, a flash of the forelegs, and the moth is gone, drawn from light into darkness. The precision of the strike conceals a complexity of timing. The mantis does not simply lunge at moving prey, it calculates where the prey will be by the time its strike lands. This predictive targeting, a form of motion extrapolation, requires integration between visual input and neuromuscular control, something once thought beyond the capabilities of an insect brain. Yet experiments show that mantises can track moving objects even when visual cues are partially obscured, suggesting an internal model of motion not unlike that used by vertebrate predators such as cats or hawks. In essence, the mantis performs predictive ballistics, a living computer modeling flight paths in real time. Once the strike is complete, the transformation from assassin to artisan begins. The mantis holds its prey delicately, aligning it between the spines of its forelegs. With careful precision, it begins to feed. Unlike most predators that tear at their meals, the mantis eats methodically, consuming soft tissues first to maximize nutritional gain. Between bites, it pauses to clean itself, a ritual of order after violence. It runs its forelegs through its mouthparts, scraping away debris and realigning its spines. This grooming behavior is not mere vanity. It ensures that the hunting apparatus remains free of obstruction for the next strike. Clean limbs mean reliable catches. The same forelegs that serve as weapons also function as grooming tools, scaffolds for movement, and platforms for communication. During mating, males use them in delicate displays, waving or vibrating them in rhythmic pulses to signal non-aggression. Courtship among mantises is famously perilous. The female, larger and stronger, may interpret the male's approach as prey behavior. Mating, therefore, becomes a performance of restraint and timing. The male advances slowly, often swaying in rhythm with the wind to mimic the movement of leaves. If accepted, he climbs onto her back and mates cautiously, his survival depending on the female's satiation. Post-mating cannibalism, though not universal, is frequent enough to be considered a strategy rather than a flaw. In consuming the male, the female gains nutrients that support egg production. In this grim arithmetic, reproduction and predation converge. The mantis world is built on balance, stillness and speed, patience and violence. Its hunting success depends not on brute strength, but on the precise alignment of physics, physiology, and perception. From its hydraulic legs to its stereoscopic eyes, every aspect of its anatomy serves the same purpose: to strike once and strike perfectly. The line between failure and success is measured in milliseconds, and evolution has sculpted the mantis into the embodiment of that margin. As the evening deepens, the last light fades from the garden. The mantis remains on its perch, silhouetted against the dying glow of a lamp. Its body sways once more in the faint breeze, blending again with the rhythm of the plants around it. The world stills. Somewhere nearby, a moth flutters toward the light, unaware that beneath it, the hunter waits. Its forelegs drawn in prayer, its gaze locked, its calculations complete. When the moment comes, it will unfold like a sprung trap, the motion too fast for sight, the outcome certain. In the silence that follows, only the faint rasp of cleaning limbs can be heard, the quiet aftermath of perfection in motion. The forest after rain smells of wood, sap, and slow decay. Beneath the damp skin of fallen trunks, a quiet industry hums, invisible, patient, and constant. Press your ear against the bark and you may hear it, a faint, rhythmic rasping, like the ticking of a faraway metronome. This is not the sound of wind or settling wood. It is the chewing of beetle larvae, longhorns in their infancy, excavating tunnels through dead timber. Each bite releases the faint musk of cellulose and fungus, a scent that signals transformation. Where others see decay, these larvae see sustenance and opportunity. The longhorn beetle, named for the extraordinary length of its antennae, begins life in silence, sealed within the wood it will one day leave behind. The female, after selecting the perfect site, a fallen log, a weathered beam, or the weakened heartwood of a dying tree, inserts her ovipositor into the surface and deposits her eggs. Once hatched, the larvae begin a years-long apprenticeship in isolation. They chew steadily through fibers of lignin and cellulose, their mandibles as much excavators as mouthparts. The galleries they carve serve not only as feeding tunnels, but also as protective fortresses, lined with compacted sawdust to deter intruders and maintain humidity. Inside this world of darkness and vibration, they live by the texture of the wood and the resonance of their own movements. The act of chewing, though seemingly primitive, is finely calibrated. The larvae navigate by listening to the structure of the timber, feeling its density change as they approach the surface. Studies have shown that these subterranean miners adjust their feeding rhythm according to moisture and fiber toughness, conserving energy by targeting areas where fungi have already begun to weaken the lignin. It is a symbiosis of rot and renewal. The beetle's tunneling accelerates decomposition, helping return nutrients to the forest floor, while the fungi pave its way. When the larval stage finally ends, the metamorphosis unfolds quietly within a pupal chamber. The soft-bodied grub hardens into the armored form of the adult, its body now sleek and polished, the head bearing a pair of antennae often longer than its own body. These antennae are not mere ornaments. They are among the most sensitive sensory structures in the insect world. Organs of smell, touch, and even subtle air pressure detection. Covered in microscopic sensory hairs called sensilla, they can perceive chemical signals from meters away and detect airflow changes imperceptible to human senses. To a longhorn beetle, the forest is not a visual landscape, but a three-dimensional map of invisible currents traced by scent molecules and microturbulence. Watch one in motion, and the significance of those antennae becomes clear. As the beetle walks across bark, its antennae sweep in slow, deliberate arcs, one forward, one backward, like the alternating arms of a radar dish. Each sweep collects data, the faint trace of pheromones left by others of its species, the musk of fungal decay that marks potential egg sites, the scent of sap leaking from fresh wounds in the wood. These chemical landscapes allow the beetle to read its surroundings long before its compound eyes confirm them. When it pauses, antennae raised and trembling, it is not indecision, it is analysis. Despite their heavy exoskeletons, adult longhorn beetles are agile and unexpectedly strong. Many species, when disturbed, perform a kick launch escape, tensing their hind legs before propelling themselves into the air in a sudden burst of motion. The launch is accompanied by a sharp click, produced by the rapid engagement of internal muscles and exoskeletal joints. Once airborne, their flight is slow and droning, the wing beats heavy but steady. It is not elegance that defines their flight, but endurance, the ability to traverse forest clearings or navigate among branches without losing balance. For those that live within decaying trunks, movement is often less about flight and more about excavation. A newly emerged adult must first break through the very wood that sheltered it. Using the spurred ends of its legs and the saw-like edges of its mandibles, it bulldozes through bark, pushing out frass and debris until daylight spills into its tunnel. The first breath of air beyond the wood is both an end and a beginning, the completion of years of growth and the start of a brief adult life measured in weeks or months. In this short window, the beetle must feed, find a mate, and ensure the next generation. Some species are drawn to flowering trees, feeding on nectar or pollen. Others, particularly those adapted to human environments, wander along fences and wooden beams, drawn by the scent of aged timber. In such places, their ancient biology meets the architecture of humans, and encounters can be startlingly intimate. A longhorn beetle landing near a lighted porch carries the forest on its back, the scent of sap, resin, and decay, a messenger from the unseen economy of the woods. At night, the world becomes theirs. Beneath porch lights and between beams, they patrol with deliberate caution, antennae sweeping like navigational instruments. The faint odor of pine or oak draws them onward. Sometimes, the artificial habitat offers new challenges. A carpenter bee, emerging from its own drilled tunnel in a wooden beam, finds itself face to face with a longhorn beetle exploring the same site. The two meet in stillness, antennae interlocked like dueling swords. For a moment, both freeze, gauging size and threat. The bee, faster and more territorial, makes the first move, a burst of wings and a headbutt that sends the beetle staggering backward. Yet the beetle does not flee far. Once the bee retreats, it resumes its slow advance, undeterred. Its patience is its defense, its persistence, its strategy. This measured rhythm defines the beetle's existence. Every movement is slow, deliberate, almost contemplative, yet within that slowness lies extraordinary sensory sophistication. Its antennae, constantly in motion, monitor not only odor but also the movement of air. The slightest breeze carries information. The presence of predators, the approach of potential mates, or the humidity gradient that signals a hidden cavity. In laboratory studies, longhorn beetles have been shown to detect pheromone traces diluted to concentrations far below what any mammal could perceive. In their sensory universe, the air itself is alive with meaning. Even the sounds of the longhorn's world are distinctive. Some species, especially the larger tropical forms, can produce stridulatory noises by rubbing parts of their thorax and abdomen together. These creaks and squeaks serve as warning signals, deterrents against predators such as birds or rodents. In the quiet of night, these faint mechanical calls mix with the forest's hum, creating a soundscape of clicks and hisses that few humans ever notice. For scientists studying them, placing a contact microphone against the bark of a beetle-infested log reveals a hidden symphony. Larvae chewing, adults signaling, the wood itself resonating like an instrument under pressure. This acoustic ecology has practical implications. Foresters use vibration sensors to detect infestations deep within trees, identifying larvae long before external signs appear. What once was only the secret rhythm of decay has become a diagnostic tool, linking natural history with modern technology. The beetle, unaware, continues its ancient work, recycling the forest one tunnel at a time. As dawn approaches, a longhorn beetle rests along the rough grain of a beam. Dew gathers along its antennae, beading like drops on wire. Its legs flex slightly, claws gripping the wood. With the first warmth of sunlight, the antennae begin to move again, tracing invisible paths through the air. The beetle's body glows faintly in the morning light, each motion a continuation of the same cycle that began generations before. Born in silence, feeding in darkness, emerging to read the air like a living instrument. The longhorn beetle's story is one of perception and persistence. It is not a creature of speed or aggression, but of patience, precision, and endurance. Through its antennae, it senses what others cannot, the invisible architecture of scent, air, and vibration that defines the forest as much as its trees or leaves. In the decay of dead wood and the whisper of wind, the beetle finds its compass, navigating a world written not in light, but in touch and resonance. In every slow sweep of those impossibly long antennae lies an ancient rhythm, the same rhythm that drives the pulse of decomposition, the recycling of life into life. The longhorn beetle does not conquer its environment, it decodes it. And through that quiet mastery, it reminds us that even in stillness, the world is full of motion, just waiting for the right kind of antennae to feel it. At first glance, the monarch butterfly seems impossibly fragile. A drifting scrap of orange and black, so light it can be lifted by the gentlest wind. Yet within that paper-thin body lies one of the most extraordinary navigational systems in the animal kingdom. Every autumn, these butterflies embark on a continental migration that spans thousands of kilometers, traveling from the cooling fields of North America to the mountain forests of central Mexico. What makes this journey even more remarkable is that no single butterfly completes it. The migrants that begin the voyage will die long before reaching their ancestral destination. Their descendants, born along the way, will continue the path south, guided not by memory but by inherited instruction, as if the map were written directly into their wings. The monarch's orange and black pattern is not just decoration, it is a warning. The butterfly is armed with chemical defenses acquired during its earliest stage of life. As a caterpillar, it feeds exclusively on milkweed, a plant rich in toxic compounds known as cardinalides. These cardiac glycosides disrupt heart function in most vertebrates, making the caterpillar and later the adult butterfly distasteful or even deadly to potential predators. Once ingested, the chemicals remain stored within the body for life, providing a permanent deterrent. The brilliant coloration advertises this toxicity to birds and lizards, transforming vulnerability into armor. Evolution has fine-tuned the message: eat one and you will never forget the taste. The monarch's dependence on milkweed binds its survival to the fate of a single genus of plants. Female butterflies are meticulous in their choice of nursery. They test leaves with their forelegs, tasting for the faint bitterness of cardinalides before laying their eggs. Each egg, smaller than a pinhead, contains the beginning of the next generation's journey. Within days, a caterpillar hatches, striped in yellow, black, and white, a miniature version of its parents' warning colors. As it feeds, it grows rapidly, shedding its skin several times before forming the pale jade chrysalis that will shelter its transformation. Inside, tissues dissolve and reassemble, legs become wings, and a new traveler prepares to take flight. When the adult emerges, its wings unfold with veins of dark pigment, tracing a map across the orange surface. Embedded within those wings are microscopic sensors, photoreceptors that detect polarized light. These specialized cells allow the monarch to read the position of the sun, even when clouds obscure the sky. It is the foundation of their navigational system, a biological compass that functions in coordination with an internal clock located in the brain. This clock measures the passage of time, allowing the butterfly to correct for the sun's movement across the sky, an integrated sun compass that maintains directional accuracy from dawn to dusk. Yet sunlight alone cannot account for their precision. When overcast skies obscure visual cues, monarchs rely on another guide, the Earth's magnetic field. Studies have shown that the butterflies possess a magnetic compass that operates through specialized proteins sensitive to the planet's geomagnetic radiation. This redundancy ensures that their migration continues even when weather or geography interferes with their solar bearings. Together, these systems create a navigational resilience unparalleled in the insect world, a dual compass woven from light and magnetism. The migration itself is a relay across generations. In late summer, as days shorten and temperatures drop, monarchs born in the northern United States and Canada undergo a physiological transformation. Unlike their parents, these individuals enter a state of delayed sexual maturity known as reproductive diapause. Instead of mating, they devote their energy to flight and survival, building fat reserves that will sustain them for months. This generation, sometimes called the Methuselah generation, begins the great southward journey. The route is not a straight line, but a network of air corridors and feeding stations shaped by geography and climate. Monarchs ride thermal updrafts to conserve energy, soaring like gliders across hundreds of kilometers each day. Along the way, they pause at fields and meadows to drink nectar, refueling their flight muscles. Many stop at roadside patches of wildflowers, oases of color amid landscapes carved by agriculture and asphalt. These way stations, often overlooked by humans, are vital. They provide the calories that sustain migration and the nectar that will nourish future breeders when they return north. Each butterfly in the migratory chain lives only a few weeks, except for the long-lived migrants that overwinter in Mexico. The first generation born after the journey will head northward again, breeding and dying along the way. It will take 4 or sometimes 5 generations to complete the full circuit, a living relay across space and time. No individual remembers the path, yet the population as a whole never forgets. This continuity is one of biology's great mysteries. The directional instinct is believed to be encoded in their genetic architecture, an inherited compass that operates independently of experience. The culmination of their migration lies in the high-elevation Oyamel fir forests of central Mexico. Here, in the cool, sheltered air of the Sierra Madre, millions of monarchs converge. The spectacle is breathtaking, trunks and branches draped in layers of orange wings, the weight of thousands bending boughs downward. As the morning sun warms the canopy, the butterflies stir, lifting into the air in a shimmering storm of color. For a few months they rest, conserving energy until the season turns again. When spring arrives, they begin their northward return, laying eggs on newly sprouted milkweed before dying, the cycle beginning anew. At the cellular level, the monarch's endurance is sustained by efficiency. During migration, their flight muscles rely on lipid reserves rather than sugars, allowing longer, slower burning of energy. They regulate body temperature through a combination of behavioral thermoregulation, basking in sunlight when cool, seeking shade when overheated, and structural adaptation. The scales covering their wings not only provide color, but also act as micro-insulators, reducing heat loss at high altitudes. Even their wing shape is optimized for long-distance travel, elongated and tapered, minimizing drag and maximizing lift. Despite their resilience, monarch populations have declined sharply in recent decades. Habitat loss, pesticide use, and climate instability have reduced both milkweed availability and nectar sources along migratory routes. Yet even small human actions can tip the balance. Roadside flower plantings and urban gardens have emerged as critical lifelines, miniature ecosystems that provide feeding and breeding grounds where once there was none. These way stations function as stepping stones across fragmented landscapes, allowing the migration to continue despite the odds. Every patch of milkweed or cluster of late-blooming asters represents a bridge in an otherwise broken chain. The monarch's story is not only one of endurance, but of ecological interdependence. Its migration ties together countries, climates, and communities of organisms. In the north, it fertilizes wildflowers through pollination. In the south, it provides nourishment to birds that have evolved tolerance to its toxins. Its very existence connects prairies to mountains, roadsides to forests, a biological thread weaving the continent into one vast living tapestry. The compass within the monarch's wings is not a metaphor. It is a physical reality, a network of proteins, neurons, and pigments that respond to light, magnetism, and time. Yet beyond its mechanics lies something grander, the idea that instinct can span generations, that the map of the world can be carried not in memory, but in molecules. The monarch is proof that direction can be inherited, that migration can become an unbroken pulse of movement through the fabric of life. As autumn returns, the air fills once more with flashes of orange drifting against the blue. From highways and farm fields to city gardens and forest edges, the monarchs pass, quiet travelers guided by an invisible compass. Their journey is both ancient and immediate, written not in experience but in evolution. And as they rise into the wind, each wing beat carries a fragment of memory, a trace of direction, a piece of the earth's magnetic song, the eternal whisper that tells them where home lies. The forest floor of Madagascar is a living engine, dark, humid, and restless. Under the cover of fallen leaves and rotting wood, decomposition works in endless motion. Each fiber of bark, each wilted stem, is being broken down and reassembled into the soil that will feed the next generation of growth. In this quiet mechanical world, where fungi thread through humus and millipedes tunnel through mulch, one creature reigns as both scavenger and engineer. Broad, armored, and astonishingly vocal, the Madagascar hissing cockroach is an unassuming master of this underground economy. To encounter one up close is to meet an insect built for survival rather than beauty. Its body is a burnished chestnut brown, encased in a smooth exoskeleton that looks almost polished, like a shell carved from aged wood. The dorsal surface is segmented, each plate overlapping the next in a natural armor designed to withstand abrasion and compression. The most prominent of these plates, the pronotum, forms a curved shield that covers the head like a helmet. Beneath it lie the mouthparts and antennae, sensory instruments constantly sweeping through the air and soil, decoding chemical signatures invisible to the human sense. The roach's movement is steady and deliberate, each step cushioned by soft pads that allow it to navigate leaf litter in silence. For most insects, silence is safety. But this cockroach has evolved an entirely different strategy, one that defies its family's reputation for stealth. When disturbed, the Madagascar hissing cockroach makes its presence known in a way no other insect does. It hisses. The sound is startlingly animal, a sharp burst of air followed by a resonant, almost reptilian growl. Unlike most creatures that rely on vocal cords or stridulation, this insect uses a purely mechanical system, one based on valves and pressure. Along the sides of its body run a series of openings known as spiracles, gateways through which the insect breathes. By forcing air through these spiracles in a controlled burst, the cockroach creates sound. The mechanism resembles a miniature air valve, and with it, the insect can produce distinct acoustic patterns. There are hisses for alarm, hisses for aggression, and hisses for romance. Each variation is generated by modulating air pressure, duration, and rhythm. When a predator, a bird, a reptile, or a human hand brushes against it, the roach emits a rapid, short hiss meant to startle. During conflicts between males, the sound deepens into a slower, pulsing exhalation, a dominance display that echoes across the leaf litter. And during courtship, the tone shifts once more, softer, more rhythmic, accompanied by subtle vibrations that travel through the substrate. This acoustic language is among the most complex found in insects, allowing communication in the dense, lightless world of the forest floor. At the heart of this behavior lies the anatomy of control. The spiracles that produce the hiss are not simple passive holes. They are muscular valves capable of fine regulation. Each one opens and closes through contractions of the surrounding tissue, directing airflow with precision. The largest and most active of these spiracles are located near the abdomen, where air sacs act as reservoirs for pressurized gas. When the insect forces this air outward, it vibrates the edges of the spiracle openings, producing sound waves that vary with body size and air volume. In essence, the cockroach carries an internal air compressor, one that doubles as both respiratory system and defense mechanism. Dominance contests among males are some of the most dramatic displays in the cockroach's hidden world. Two rivals meet on a patch of decaying leaf or a mound of compost, antennae whipping, pronota raised like shields. They circle each other, producing a series of rhythmic hisses that escalate in intensity. The encounter rarely turns violent at first. It begins as an acoustic duel, a test of confidence and endurance. The louder, longer hiss often belongs to the victor, signaling strength and stamina. But when neither retreats, the contest shifts from sound to impact. The males lunge forward, colliding shield to shield in a series of shoves and grapples. The pronotum, thickened and reinforced, absorbs the blows, protecting vital organs beneath. These bouts may last several minutes, ending when one combatant retreats or freezes, his hiss fading into silence. The winner claims dominance over the feeding territory or the attention of nearby females, who assess the male's vigor through both sound and posture. Beneath this display of aggression lies an elegant maintenance ritual. The Madagascar hissing cockroach is a meticulous groomer. Throughout the day, it cleans its antennae and body with surprising diligence, using its spiny legs to brush away dust and debris. The behavior is more than cosmetic. Its spiracles, the air intakes that power both respiration and hissing, must remain free of clogging particles. Soil, mold spores, and detritus can block these openings, suffocating the insect or dulling its acoustic signals. Grooming, therefore, is a form of respiratory upkeep, a daily ritual that ensures both breath and voice remain unimpeded. When observed under magnification, the grooming motion reveals astonishing dexterity. The cockroach bends its legs over its antennae, drawing them through comb-like spines that scrape away residue with mechanical precision. Its obsessive cleanliness extends to its environment. The Madagascar hissing cockroach lives amid the dense detritus of decomposing vegetation, a world perpetually moist and microbially rich. Yet it plays a vital role in keeping that ecosystem balanced. By feeding on decaying plant material, it accelerates the breakdown of organic matter, fragmenting large debris into smaller particles that can be further digested by bacteria and fungi. Its digestive system, equipped with symbiotic microbes, transforms this waste into nutrient-rich feces that enrich the soil. In this way, the cockroach functions as both recycler and cultivator, a living processor in the great compost factory of the forest. Each generation contributes to the fertility of the ecosystem, creating a feedback loop that sustains the plants above. The nutrients released by the cockroach's digestion feed the roots of saplings, which in turn provide future shelter and food sources for its descendants. This invisible link between decay and renewal underscores the species' ecological importance. Without such decomposers, the forest floor would choke beneath its own litter, and the energy cycle of the ecosystem would grind to a halt. Unlike most cockroaches, the Madagascar species does not possess wings. Flight is unnecessary in a world defined by crawling, tunneling, and concealment. Instead, evolution has optimized it for endurance and stability. The absence of wings reduces vulnerability, allowing it to navigate narrow crevices and dense vegetation without damage. Its low-slung body distributes weight evenly, while the curved exoskeleton deflects debris and moisture. Combined with its flexible joints and rubbery footpads, the insect moves as confidently through compost as a fish through water, not fast, but unstoppable. Even reproduction reflects a balance between defense and efficiency. The female carries her eggs internally in a specialized case known as an ootheca, which she retracts after external fertilization. The embryos develop within her body until they hatch, emerging as miniature versions of the adults. This form of ovoviviparity provides additional protection in the microbial world of the forest floor, ensuring that offspring begin life in safety. The newborns, pale and soft at first, darken within hours as their exoskeleton hardens, ready to join the endless cycle of consumption and renewal. In captivity, where these insects are often studied, the hiss becomes a window into their behavior. Microphones record the acoustic signatures of different individuals, revealing that each has a slightly distinct frequency and rhythm, a kind of insect personality expressed through sound. Their dominance hisses are deeper and more forceful, their courtship hisses patterned and gentle. Even in controlled environments, they continue to groom obsessively, a habit so ingrained that it persists without the dirt of the forest. In the wild, when night falls and the air cools, the forest hums with their presence. Each hiss, faint but deliberate, mingles with the chorus of frogs and the rustle of geckos. Beneath a layer of damp leaves, the cockroach moves with purpose, antennae sweeping, legs pushing through loam, spiracles pulsing softly in rhythm with breath. It is part machine, part custodian, an insect that turns decay into life and silence into sound. The Madagascar hissing cockroach embodies the paradox of nature's quiet engineers, armored yet gentle, primitive yet refined. Its hiss is not a cry of fear, but a statement of existence, the voice of an ecosystem's undercurrent, audible proof that the unseen world beneath our feet is alive and articulate. In the low hum of compost, it breathes, cleans, feeds, and communicates, a creature defined not by its simplicity, but by the precision of its design. And when the forest exhales, carrying the scent of earth and rain into the night, somewhere within that breath is the faint echo of a hiss, the sound of air moving through valves and armor, the whisper of life rebuilding the soil from which all else will grow.